Welcome to Unpacking, where we unlearn what's unhealthy. Today I have my beautiful guest Desi with me, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about herself.
Yeah, my name is Desi. I'm a singer-songwriter, mother, entrepreneur. You can follow me at 411VEN. It's hard to, it'll be down there. But yeah, go ahead, we're going to start.
All right, so diving right in. Let's start with motherhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how old are your children?
My son is 9.
9.
Yes.
And
I only have one.
Right. So 9 years old. So you've been at this for a little while. How is that experience for you? Would you say that it has helped you mature or grow into a better person?
I would say that's a complicated situation. I had my son at a young age, and I was one of those girls that everybody was like, no, she's not pregnant. There's no way, you know. And at the time, it was a one-night stand, and I just found out 3 months later. And I had no idea I was pregnant, walking around, you know, still turning up or whatever. I'm about to go to college, so it was that summer. And I find out that I'm pregnant right before school started. At that point, I had to make a decision, you know, and I decided to stay home and raise my son. But I think in the beginning, I was in denial. And as much as I snapped into motherhood, at the same time, I was like, oh, this isn't that bad. This is going to be easy. It's nothing. And then you kind of realize there's a lot of work and the worry kicks in and, you know, you're starting to pay attention to the way the world is now and, you know, things that you probably wouldn't have paid attention to. But now I have to think about those things because I have a child that's growing up in this world and he has to, you know, he looks at me for everything, for advice, for, you know, strength, for love, affection. I've never been affectionate. So that's probably the hardest thing for me with him because he's so loving and he just wants to sit under me and he wants kisses all day. And that's something that I didn't really deal with as a child. So I don't really know how to express that. As much as I do love him, I don't express it very well. So other than that, motherhood is amazing.
Okay. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the loving energy that he gives to you, do you feel like that's something that you were missing as a child? It was something you...
Yeah, I had a really rough childhood, so I would say, yeah, I'm not used to that. I don't know if it's a bad thing necessarily because I still ended up the way that I did, but yeah, it's something that I probably didn't need. I need it now. You know, I don't know if I did then or how I felt then anymore. But as of now, like when I'm going through things and then I see him and he's all, ooh, and you know, it just lights up the room. So.
Which is beautiful. That's a blessing to have, especially if you didn't have it at one point.
Right.
It feels like, I know for me and as an adult, I'm single, I'm out here, it would be a beautiful thing to be able to have that energy and receive it, you know. And so do you feel like it's hard for you to receive it?
It's getting easier, but yeah, for a while it was because even with me, like the type of men that I date, I choose men that aren't affectionate. I choose men that are always busy, and it's kind of like me having to chase. But to actually have someone that's like in my face, like I love you, I love you, I love you every day, it is something that I have to get used to. But I'm learning that those were things that I wasn't dealing with and I didn't understand until, you know, until you really feel real love, you're just like, oh, this is fine. Like what I'm dealing with is fine. I don't see what's so bad about that. And, you know, my family would tell me all the time, like, you need someone that cares for you. And I'm like, no, I don't want that. I don't want that attention. But I feel like for your spirit, especially when you're going through things, that's something we all need. And, he's taught me a lot about that. Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing without even, you know, knowing he's doing it.
Yeah, he doesn't try. He's just being himself. But,
that's awesome. I know that you said it was kind of tough growing up, but I know you have a sister, right?
Yeah, and a brother.
And a brother, okay.
Yeah. I actually have many siblings.
Okay. The one I'm most
one of those
familiar
broken family things. Yeah, but the two that are from my mother and father, yeah, my sister and my brother, who are both younger.
Okay. How was your relationship growing
up? We've always been close, but we hated each other growing up. Obviously, you know, we're kids, and you touch my stuff, I touch your stuff. We're arguing, we're snitching on each other, but because of all the things that we were always going through, we stuck together when we needed to, and we didn't play about that part of it. But sometimes in the house we didn't get along, but we would never let an outsider disturb anything that was going on, period.
Okay, so as adults, I see you're much closer with your sister.
Super close.
Is there an experience that you might be willing to share that kind of made it more of a healing for you all?
My mother passed when I was 17. I had already moved out of her home because me and her just always battled each other. I'm pretty strong-willed, and I believe what I believe, and my mom didn't like dealing with it. You know, she didn't know how to deal with it. She didn't understand that I was just a little bit ahead of my time, I guess you could say, and I would question a lot of things, so it would cause problems between us. And my brother was he was a lost boy. My dad went to prison when we were young, and so he never really had a real man to look up to, so he always just found his way. Whether that was the streets, he got into wanting to be a barber and all these different things, but I moved out at 13. He moved out soon after, so my sister was actually a lot closer to my mom. She kind of stuck with her all the way up until she passed. And at that point when my mom passed, my sister and my brother moved in to where I was at with my aunt. And then I think it was like a light just went off, like, okay, we don't have a mom now, so I have to take that role. And that's when we became, it was a little bit of fighting, you know, because I would tell her not to do certain things, and, you know, obviously she feels like she's grown, but between that and I would say her first child, that kind of, she kind of snapped into place and realized anything that I told her was not just to judge her or anything. It was me really trying to help her flourish as a woman. And I think once she had her first daughter, she realized, okay, nobody's picking on me, you know. It was just things that we wanted her to know. And so now we're like best friends. We talk about everything, and I don't really have friends right now, so that's like who I, you know, hang out with all the time. And my brother's like, he's a Scorpio, so he's really to himself until he's not. So yeah, but me and her are both Geminis. So,
okay.
Yeah, we know how to deal with each other.
Okay, so with you all coming together, do you feel like it seems like you may have felt alone before, that you were kind of doing everything on your own, trying to figure out the world at 13. Do you feel like coming together with her, having her as a best friend, is now kind of helping you ease through life a bit more? Because for me, I'm kind of in the same situation. I'm very disconnected from my family members, and I always say, like, that just is what it is, and I can figure it out whether they're around or not. Do you feel like it's very important to try and reestablish those connections with those in your family?
Wow, that's hard. Okay, so I'm dealing with that now because I have not had a conversation with my father since he went to prison, outside of me having to call him and tell him my mother passed. So that was a moment where I was like, maybe I should mend that bond, because I might be bottling up a lot of things towards him that I just haven't dealt with, or I've put it so far back that I don't even think I have any issues, you know. And because it was pretty traumatizing, I guess, as a child, so you find ways to cope with it. So when my mother passed, and then, you know, the first time I heard him on the phone, it was like, wow, I haven't heard your voice since I was 9 years old. And, you know, that dad thing came back into play, but soon after, I kind of just like, never mind, you know? And I've built up my bonds again with my sister and my brother, my aunt, who I fell out with at one point too, you know, when I was going through my pregnancy and everything. And she kind of distanced herself when my mom passed too, because she was very close to my mom, and she kind of buried herself. she didn't want to work anymore. She didn't want to get up and go out. And I think me being as strong as I am and I bounce back so quickly, I expect everyone to do that. And it kind of made me upset, and I didn't want to talk to her anymore because I'm like, you're just moping all the time and being negative. And, instead of encouraging her or maybe showing her different ways to deal with it, I kind of just pushed her off. Like, I don't want to deal with you anymore. So, sorry. So yeah, I've rebuilt the relationships that I feel like are extremely important to me right now.
Mm-hmm.
And as time goes on, that's part of my journey, is to at least address the other situations.
Mm-hmm.
And if it works out, it does. If it doesn't, then, it doesn't. But I do want to eventually put in the effort to do that. But I feel like right now I'm so focused on what I'm doing that I can't deal with it right now.
Yeah, because it comes with a lot when you really unpack those things and try and figure out, well, why am I even here? What is it that is dragging me from, well, should I say holding me down from moving forward? It's a lot of energy that is expelled trying to do that. So I understand why you kind of put it where it is, because you have a career that you're focusing on. Tell me a little bit more about your music. Do you feel like you use that as a outlet or a coping tool to find your way on your journey?
Yeah, I wouldn't say, like, my music doesn't necessarily reflect the things that I've been through, but the strength behind me continuing doing my music that's where it comes from, because I have a family that I have to think about besides myself. And I have people that believe in me, and so it kind of keeps me going, because it's like those moments where I'm like, I'm done, I don't want to do this anymore. I have those people like, hey, you still singing? Are you in the studio? What'd you do this weekend? And it's like, crap. Okay. I don't want to come to them and be like, no, I give up. So it's like, yeah, it's a constant motivation, I guess you can say.
Oh. Is there a time frame on your next album yet? No.
No. I am so free-spirited, and it pisses a lot of people off, I know. And I'm very... I'm so picky about everything, but I'm learning that now. Like, even the cover I'm about to drop on YouTube, I was not actually happy with it last night, because I recorded it last night.
Okay.
But, I'm trying to break the cycle of, I don't feel like it's good enough, so I don't want anyone to hear it. I'm just going to throw it out there and just, let it be what it is. Nobody's perfect, and I'm kind of letting go of all that. But I have not put any dates on anything yet, just because I kind of want to just make music right now, and then let the people, decide when they want to hear an album or when they want a single to drop. I feel like now, too, with all the streaming and everything, you don't necessarily have to have albums per se, so I can just drop songs and, I want my brand to build before I get too serious about all that. But I do plan on getting back on stage. I do plan on doing South by Southwest this year.
Oh, okay.
So that's like my first comeback, I guess you could say, yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, you mentioned dropping those hypercritical views you have of your music and the things you do. What is something that you're doing that's helping you let that go?
I do a lot, to be honest. I'm detoxing. I am meditating. I study spirituality. I'm trying to question myself more. And then I'm also, I listen to a lot of artists now. There was a point in time where I was so upset with everything in my life, and I just stopped listening to music. I didn't want anything to do with music, TV, anything. I was just so mad at the world. I'm never going to make it, and these stupid people are out here doing this and that. And it was just like, woe is me. And, if it didn't happen for me like this, then I'm done with it. I don't want to hear it. And it just became a toll on me more than it was, it wasn't helping, and I realized I was falling into depression and leaning more on drugs and partying and trying to not even focus on it and have reasons or excuses as to why I'm not doing it anymore. And I think it took me really just sitting with myself. Like, I cut everyone off in my life. I'm lucky that the real ones stayed around, and they came back when they seen that I was ready to accept a lot of things. But I did cut everyone out of my life, like, completely. Friends, business partners. I was rarely talking to my family. I just like let me go through this journey for, and then when I get to the point where I can speak to you again, then, we'll meet up again. And that, I think that me going through that, which was about a good 6 to 8 months, me going through that and then coming out of it on a more positive end, now it's like, okay, I'm ready to go, but I had to meditate, and I had to like dig deeper than what I was doing.
As an artist, me being a creative, I know that oftentimes people will try to force you to do certain things that you feel are not within maybe the type of concepts that you like to do, or things that you just don't find creative at all. Have you faced any issues with, like, because you have a team where you and your team are at odds with each other, and it kind of causes a rift because they want you to put out something, and they want you to do something, you're like, that's completely not me.
Yeah. No, I've dealt with that. When 2 years ago, when I tried it for the first time, there were a lot of things that were being thrown at me just pretty quickly because the song was doing so well and everybody actually liked the song. So my team, I think, got more excited than I did. Like, oh, we got to do this now. We got to go here. We got to go there. You got to host all these clubs. And it's like, I don't want to be in the club every night. I could care less. And it kind of became my life for a second. And it was just like, that's when everything just crashed, because I was like, whoa, this is too much. I don't like this. And I was also dealing with a really bad breakup in between all of this. So I was pretending to be happy when I was out. But what they didn't know was I was sedated most of the time, just because I was zombied out. Like, I was taking pills and smoking marijuana and whatever I could do to, like, okay, I got to get out here and perform, or I got to get out here and be nice to all these people and smile in their faces when I'm dealing with, all this stuff. And I think also, because of the first song that I did, it came off like maybe I wanted to just go like this complete hip-hop rap route, when deep down that's not what I wanted to do. But it was like the image that everybody said fit me. And that upset me too, because it was like, I feel like you're only saying that because I'm a Black woman, I have tattoos, and so it's automatic like, oh, you're a rapper. Every time I say that I do music with anyone, they're oh, you rap? And that bothers me, because that's like, why do you feel like that's the only thing that I'm capable of?
I don't even get that energy from you.
I
ever.
know, and I love rap music, but no, you won't hear it in my car. It's like, it's very random. Like, if I'm just in a mood or I'm going out, I'm like, yeah, I want to pump myself up. But no, I love jazz. I was trained classically, so R&B was something I had to actually learn to do, and but when I did, I fell in love with it. I just knew that I kind of wanted to mix that with pop music, or I want to do Broadway. So I don't want to limit myself, and I feel like everyone tried to limit me. Like, get on this rapper's hook and do this video, and it's like all gangsta and little shorts, and it was just like, this is, yes. It was not me.
So now, what you have in the image that you have, you're a very beautiful woman. So what I wonder is that in the industry, when they did want to get you on these rapper hooks, or when you did have to go to these clubs and be around these people, do you feel like the male artist in the industry took you seriously, or was it more like, oh, she's eye candy, and so we'll, it would kind of appease you because of your look?
Yeah. That is the hard thing about being a woman in this industry, and luckily I've had the opportunity to work on the business side as well, because I've also done marketing and management for other artists here. So I've learned very quickly all of the nonsense that actually goes on behind the scenes. And so when I did start pursuing my stuff, I already went into it with a guard up. But that did kind of set me back, because a lot of people, once they worked with me one time and they did the whole flirting thing or whatever, and I would completely, like, oh no, we're not doing that. It was like, now they're dodging sessions, or they're canceling things, or all of a sudden I'm not a priority anymore, because I'm not putting out or I'm not giving them the type of attention that they're asking for.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a huge issue, because it's like you can be as talented as they are, but they still just see you as a woman, as a piece of whatever, or a possibility. And it's kind of like, you kind of wish there were more women that you could work with in this industry, but there's not, to be honest. Like producers and I guess engineers or whatever. As far as that goes, like if I'm in the studio alone, it's usually with another man.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I've learned to kind of deal with it and handle it in a playful manner, and not kind of.
That's the thing.
Yeah, it's like, but that's sad that I have to do that. I can't be
frustrating.
strong and say, "Oh hell no," because now you're gonna cut our business just because you're offended or you feel like your ego. Like, why does this girl not want me? I'm the shit. And
you were direct with me and what you wanted, but when I'm directing you with that I don't want that, it's now a huge thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No.
And they tell, and a lot of the times, like I've had conversations with people that are pretty high up, and so they see all the crazy stuff, and they talk to me, and the way they talk to me is, are you ready for this? Like, do you know what's really about to happen to you? Do you know how they're going to treat you? Do you know that you could walk into an executive office and they might ask you to undress for that $1 million or that contract? And these conversations are actually being held in a professional place, and they're not joking. Like, they're serious. Like, how bad do you really want this? And I've had that conversation with multiple people that if you don't want it that bad, you need to get out now. And so in my eyes, that's also a push for me, because it's like, I want to prove that I can do it without having to do that.
Strong will.
Yeah.
And I believe you can.
I can.
Yeah. She
I'm
can
ready.
sing.
I'm ready.
Like, it's beautiful.
I wish I could sing now, but I wasn't supposed to sing yesterday because I lost my voice, and I pushed it out anyway. So now I sound like Chris Brown or something.
Well, I just want to say,
I love his rasp, though.
If ever you want to come back for part 2, because you just have, I'm here for it, you know, and you can.
Yeah, I might warm it up for you.
So let me ask this. Now that you're working on your new project and you're gearing up to get ready to release, and like you said, you're kind of hypercritical of your work. All creatives are like it's weird because this sucks. I hate it. I remember telling a friend of mine, because I do like skits. I just do a bunch of random stuff.
Oh yeah, fun.
And so I remember there was a video that I did, and I was like, I don't really like it. He was like, no, you got to put it out. Just put it up. And I put it up on Facebook, and they got thousands of views. I'm like, this is so stupid. But it's interesting because when I hear you say that, a lot of people don't know, but Scarface does that too. That's why he takes so long to put out projects, because he's hypercritical of the music he decides to put out.
Right.
What do you do now when you have your team in place and y'all are like, do y'all argue about records like constantly when y'all get into this point, or is it just like, all right, they're just gonna let you do your thing?
Yeah, I don't think we've gotten to that point yet. If anything, none of us have argued in a while, to be honest, because we've all gone through the same journey within the same amount of time. Like, when I broke off from my people, they took that as, okay, I'm gonna break off too, and everybody kind of just went through their journey, and we just fell back in together, and we fell back in a place where I'm prepared now to do whatever, as far as like, I'm ready, let's get on stage. I don't care if I'm fully prepared, I don't care if I have dancers yet, let's just get out there. We have a studio now that's being built by someone that's on my team, so now I have a home where I can just completely zone out and be an artist, and I don't have to pay anyone, or I don't have to worry about guys coming in and out and bothering me. It's like, and then my some of my other business partners are also in a position now where when my music drops, they're able to get it out where they need to get it. So now we're all kind of in a position where we can help each other. And I think that's the issue with so-called friendships, is if you're not both benefiting each other, that's what kind of causes the arguments and the more so the stress. If you're all living for yourselves but also for others, like you're taking care of yourself, you're mentally taking care of yourself, and you're able to process things I think it keeps the arguments down a little bit, because even if I do get upset, I process it first instead of lashing out like I used to do. Now I process it. Okay, let's sit down. Let's have a meeting. Let's figure out what we can agree on and move on. So, but as far as my music, everyone's very like, they let me just kind of do my thing, like as far as creatively goes. But business, you know, I'm sure we're going to run into. I'm sure we're going to run into it. But right now it's been very peaceful. So, yeah.
Not until the release. That's when the ugly heads will reveal themselves. And it's like, okay, I just want to create. No, and it's like, we're going to go on a 17-city tour. Like, wait a minute. I didn't sign up for that. Yes.
I didn't sign up for it. No, but I'm excited about it all because I know that it's coming. So I prepare my mind for it at all times, even if it's not happening right now. I'm always preparing for the worst and also for the best, you know, and especially with like media nowadays. So I'm trying to prepare myself for that too, because I already know a lot of the things that I never wanted people to know about me are going to come out. So now I think that's why I'm open now to talk about it, because it's like, it's going to come out anyway, and I'd rather it come from me than, you know, it be in some blog and somebody gets the completely wrong story. So I think that's more of the thing that I'm worried about than anything. I feel like the music's going to speak for itself, and I don't care to have millions and millions of fans. I only care to have the people that genuinely believe in me. So, yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. I hear you talk about your spiritual journey and preparation and things like that. Do you have any maybe slight tips or a good place to start for those who may know that they need to get started but don't know where to begin?
I started writing things down. Like, what do I want to do? What do I not want to do? What do I completely... I don't like to use this word anymore because I've actually taught myself not to use the word hate anymore. But the things that I disliked about myself or about my life or the decisions that I made, you know, I just started journaling. I started doing confessions, and I dropped a few on my Instagram, but I had to back that up because it was like, okay, let me deal with this in private, because things can, when you deal with them out in the public, sometimes they get thrown back in your face. So it was like, okay, I took all that down and I dealt with it in private, but I continued to video myself and talking to myself, like looking at myself in the camera and really opening up to myself about, okay, you're really dealing with some stuff and you gotta let it out. And I stopped caring about crying, because I used to not want to cry, like, oh, I can't cry, but now I'm like a big baby. I love getting all that out. It feels good. And I think a lot of people try to be so strong and they think crying is like a weakness, but it's like probably the most purifying thing you can do for yourself.
The body created tears and crying for a reason.
You have to release that.
So you gotta let that out.
And it's like this adrenaline rush almost, and then after it's over, you're like,
especially if you take a nap after.
That was awesome. Oh my God, yeah. If you cry yourself to sleep, I'm like up and ready to go. Like, I need a coffee.
Usually the best sleep too.
Yes, the best. You're knocked out for like a good 14 hours. I'm just looking up like
little tear crest.
Exactly. And then health. I think a lot of people think that spirituality is just like believing in Buddha or you know, following written words, or no, a lot of the time it's just taking care of you. Like work out, eat a little bit better every day, drink more water every day, and it's not being vain, but care about yourself, like care about your appearance, you know, walk outside like you cared, you know, how you look and how people see you, because
I agree.
When you kind of just wear t-shirts and shorts every day and you kind of like just slump over all the time and you're always complaining and you're always negative, those things bounce back off the universe back onto you. So I feel like practicing using affirmations and more positive quotes and things like kind of drilling it into your brain, and to the point where you almost forget you know, all of the negative things that are going on, and not dwelling. And I think I look back on my past every now and then, but I try my hardest to just like, it is what it is. Boom, it's over. It already happened.
Absolutely.
What do we do to move forward? But yeah, my first steps were writing and getting back in the gym, you know, trying to eat more fruit and water, and then you start feeling a little lighter, and yeah, you try new things, maybe travel, maybe take a trip, hang out with your family more. I think that's important because those are people that are going to love you no matter what, and you don't have to really question those things. And just to be around people that you can trust. You start weeding out the ones who aren't really, like I said, beneficial to what you have going on. And that doesn't necessarily mean financially or, you know, it doesn't mean that they have to physically do anything for you, but are they there when you need someone to talk to? Do they have empathy? You know, do they motivate you? Do they keep you focused, or are they keeping you away from what you're trying to do in life? Because I think a lot of people also get down when they're not, you know, gradually progressing. And a lot of the times it's because of your surroundings. It's because you're dealing with people who aren't going the same way that you're going, and the frequencies are completely different, and that can automatically bring you down without you even realizing it. So yeah, I feel like those are all important steps, and I'm still going through my journey, so you know, I don't know what's next at this point, but getting back into what matters to me has been the most freeing thing, I think. Like getting back in the studio and just enjoying creating again. You know, you have to find a hobby, find something that you love to do, and do it every day, and keep your mind off of the outside, you know, noise or whatever. Because
something negative or something that you weren't expecting is going to happen every
day. Yeah.
And to focus on that over and over again is
you just get it stuck in that cycle, and you know, you don't want to die like that, and that's dark, and it's like hard to even think about, but you're going to die one day. So what is the point of, you know, killing yourself any sooner?
Absolutely.
So
and
stress will do that.
A word. A major takeaway from me from what I've heard you say is that acknowledgement of where you are, who you are is very important. That's if you don't acknowledge those things, then there's no way for you to know what your next steps are, because so I feel like for me and what our goal in this project is essentially acknowledgement. We want to get those things out there that unpacking and unlearning the things that are unhealthy, and unless you take the time to find out what those things are by acknowledging them, we'll never get there. So I am so grateful that you were so open with us to kind of get us started on the journey of accomplishing that goal.
It was fun.
That's good.
I was like a little nervous at first. I'm like, where are we going with this? Yeah, it was cool.
That's good. We were hoping that would be how you felt leaving. Outside of that, I think this is the time where I'm supposed to say thank you so much for tuning in to Unpacking, where we unlearn what's unhealthy.